Simon, what's your take on Aston Villa and Steven Gerrard? They lose to West Ham. It's now 3 wins in the last 15 league matches for Gerrard. Up next, Arsenal and then Manchester City. But of the last 15, 9 were defeats. Is Gerrard a man under pressure?
Look, I mean, I think he's always going to be under pressure because with the name travels a degree of expectation. And I think Aston Villa are a side that are looking to get better, not worse. And of course, when you've got a 37% win record in a division, and people like Eddie Howe, for example, when they were managing Bournemouth, had a 40% win record, you're starting to put yourself in the way of jeopardy. It's too early. It's too early for him to be considered to be out of a job. But my takeaway from watching Villa, and it's a very broad takeaway, which Graeme will expand upon, I suspect, is it doesn't look like they're being coached very well. Now, what that tells you is what's Gerrard and his team doing? But also, the bigger question is, what was the expectation? What's the blueprint he's been given? How much are they believing in the fact that he's going back 1 step backwards to take 2 steps forwards? But if you look at it, it looks to me, in part, there's a Coutinho problem, where then they don't know what to do with Coutinho, and they've created a problem for themselves because they brought him in as the all-conquering hero. There's a reason, with due respect, to the reason why he's gone from a £147 million player to a £17 million player, and that's not because he's been hitting his straps and tripping like fantastic. Yeah. But they look like a side that's a little bit disconnected, and it doesn't look like they're being particularly coached well. Now, that could be a moment in time, but I'm not going to jump on the bandwagon of saying, but you've also got to look back at Gerrard and say, well, there's a lot more noise about Gerrard. I had reservations about him coming to England, and I saw the gravitas of the man. I went, yeah, maybe, but I've always questioned the tactical nous and whether he's going to have the ability. It's one thing turning Rangers into a side that can win a league in your 3rd season with a declining Celtic for that season, with Neil Lennon all over the place. It's another thing coming into the big boys league with owners that are spending lots of money and pushing you.
So you're suggesting it might not be coached extremely well at this particular time. It certainly does seem, Graeme, that he's failing to get a reaction from his players. Before we get your take on it, Graeme, this was Gerrard post-match.
We certainly share our supporters' frustration, and there's no one more frustrated than me. But the only thing we can do now is act and try and put that right. I'm all in to try and make that happen, my staff are, but it's got to come from within the players as well. The players have got to really stay together now and find results now to try and move up the table.
I mean, are we witnessing, as I said in the introduction, Graeme, a slide turning into a rot?
Well, the results are not good. I think the 3 games they won was at Norwich. It was all the lower teams, Norwich.
Burnley and Everton.
And Everton. Yeah. Due respect to Everton, but they're not in fine form at the moment. So it is a pretty miserable run of results. He ultimately has to stand up and be counted. I think I've said this to you before. I think when you start spending big money, that's when the pressure really comes on. And right now, he and the players are underperforming, and he's got to change that very quickly. I've had conversations with Mika Richards, Julian Lescott, and say that Villa is a hard place to play if it's not going well. The crowd are very demanding. They get on you very quickly. I hope I'm not dropping them in there or dropping them in it by saying their names. But whenever I've gone to Villa, I think of Villa as a big football club. Forget their history, forget winning the European Cup, forget the leagues they've won. But when you walk into Villa Park, it is a big football club. They have underperformed for generations, for decades. When you're the second biggest city in the UK, great potential to be a big football club. They're not that. But these new owners aspire to be that. And I don't know. I mean, I look at his squad of players. I think that he's got a healthy squad of players. I would have thought their target would have been outside of top 4, 6, 7, 8, 5, 6, 7, 8. I mean, that's what you're talking about. I think they've spent circa 400 million. And you're thinking they're going to go in the right direction. A good young manager. But they're not doing it.
Sammy's put a question mark over the coaching. Do you think they're maybe not being coached too well?
I can't comment on that. Neither can Simon, because we don't witness what they're doing day by day.
But you've seen the outcome, Graeme, aren't you?
Well, I think you mentioned
Coutinho. You judge somebody, don't you?
I mean, when you say coaching, I think because he's got so many players to pick from. It would appear from that side looking at it, he's not quite sure. He goes with 2 up front. He'll play with Danny Ings and then Watkins. I think Coutinho is an issue. I think if you're bossing the game and you got lots of the ball, you'd have him in your team. But
But that's not Aston Villa right now.
Right now, that's not Aston Villa, so maybe he'd be better coming off the bench.
He's lost a key man in Michael Beale. He doesn't have him any longer, and I was very impressed with Beale the other day when I spoke to him at Queen's Park Rangers.
I know you said that, Jim, but when you've thrown out those stats about Michael Beale, and all due respect to him, I've not met him, and he might be fabulous as a coach. The results were not good with him at the club either towards the end of last season.
Where are you getting this idea that they're spending lots of money? Because they're actually not. He spent £49 million this year, which is nothing.
No, since the new owners came in, I said
sure, but that's not Gerrard's responsibility, is it? Gerrard comes under responsibility. Your analysis is you come under pressure when you spend a lot of money as a manager. He hasn't. He spent £50 million this summer. Last year, the £116 million that was spent, 60-70 of it was Dean Smith's responsibility, and it was all balanced off by what they sold Jack Grealish for.
Well, then they won't be in a rush to get rid of him, will they?
Well, again, so that goes to your point, which is he's not under pressure from the owners then.
I think they will be. Because
a section of the Villa fans are turning, Graeme.
See, and you know what owners are like? You've been one. You can say as much as you want. I don't listen to supporters. But owners, directors, chairmen do listen to the supporters. And if they're not happy, that puts Stephen under pressure. And I don't get any pleasure in saying that. But if you're a manager of a football club, a big football club, expectation levels are big at that football club now. They see themselves as a big football club. Their recent achievements wouldn't suggest that, but they see themselves as a big football club, and they are hoping under Steven Gerrard they can go and achieve what potential they have. It's not happening. Now, it has to come down to the players. It has to come down to the players not performing. We can second guess coaching. Is there disharmony? Because we're second guessing. But
they look bloody awful, Graham. They look bloody awful against Bournemouth in the first game of the season.
They were good in the first half.
He doesn't seem to be getting his message over, though, Graeme. And it's going to get worse before it gets better. Next for them, Arsenal. After that, Manchester City.
Yes, and then, once
he's got
that snowball starts, once it starts at a football club where he's not the right man, then everything gets magnified. Next bad result, it's 10 times worse. Another bad result is 50. So the snowball is starting. He's got to stop that. He's got to stop it rolling down the hill before it becomes untenable. That really is the situation with Steven Gerrard. That's not just the situation with Steven Gerrard. That's football where we are
right across the board.
Where we are right now.
Yeah. So as I say, for Aston Villa, next up Arsenal, then it's Manchester City. I mean, at what point does this slide at Villa turn into a rot? And Villa fans, Bank Holiday Monday or not, you up and about? Do you want to join the debate? 03717 223344 81089.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.